In this video, I'm just going to walk through the Zebra2 LFO. LFO stands for low frequency oscillator, so if this is a new concept to you, hopefully I'll clear this up in this video. And I have the initialized patch loaded, so we are familiar with that at this point. And what I'm going to do is use LFO1 to modulate tune. We can use an LFO to modulate pretty much anything that we can hook a modulator up to, but I think for purposes of demonstrating how the LFO works, it's easiest and most apparent to just modulate the tune parameter or the pitch of oscillator 1. And to do that, I can select this knob here and select LFO1, and that will allow me to modulate the tune parameter. And so if I bring up LFO1 amount to maximum level here, it's 48.0, and that would represent, in effect, 4 octaves or 48 semitones of tune modulation, because what it will do is it will increase the tune. It'll be basically, let me explain this sort of manually. If I just hold the note down and I modulate or change the tune amount between where it is now, which is 0, 48, and then just keep doing that back and forth like this, that is in effect what an LFO will do. Okay, so in order to do that automatically, we can use an LFO. So let's go ahead and do that. And let me slow it down so I can select the first parameter here. It controls the timing of the LFO. So it can be based on seconds, 0.1 second, or 1 second, or 10 seconds. And I'm holding the note down obviously when that's playing. Now, if we wanted to sync it to the tempo, basically a note duration, we could go with, let's try 1/8 notes, or 1/4 note, or even a whole bar. And that would be based on our tempo, our project tempo. We could go 2 bars, 3 bars, there's dotted notation here, triplets. So whatever we wanted to do as far as syncing the LFO with a duration within the project that would sync to the tempo. All right, now this control here, free versus gate, what this will do is it's similar to how with a regular oscillator, this phase restart control works. So if I have it gated, then what'll happen is each time I play the note, it will always start the LFO from the beginning of the waveform. So in this case, I have a sine wave selected, so it will always start it from the starting point of that wave. And that way we get a consistent sound. So what I'm going to do now is successively hit the notes. So I'm going to repeat hitting the note C. Okay, and it keeps restarting that LFO. If I hold the note down, okay, that's how the LFO is actually affecting that tune parameter. But if I just keep hitting the note, now if we have it on free, then it won't restart the LFO cycle each time the note is pressed. All right, so now what we can do is look at the amplitude. Basically affects how much, it's the amplitude of this waveform, this low frequency oscillator, and how much that's going to affect whatever parameter it is that is being modulated. The rate actually affects whatever our synchronization value is, so it in effect scales that value. So let me demonstrate that. So right now we're set for a duration of 1 bar. But if I bring the rate up, that will speed it up. Or I can slow it down. And let's go to a faster duration here. We'll go with 1/16 notes. Phase is similar to how phase works over here with a regular oscillator, in that it controls the starting point within the wave cycle. It's only relevant when gate is selected, because that will cause it to start at that particular phase point. So let me demonstrate that. And I'll use a longer duration. So it's always starting from that point, wherever that phase point is in the cycle. So if you wanted a note to start a certain way with the LFO value, that's how you would do it with phase. And then delay basically fades in the LFO setting. So let me demonstrate that. So it takes longer for the full LFO settings to take effect. It's still affecting it right off the bat, as you can hear, but it takes a while before it reaches its full amplitude. So in effect, it's almost like gradually increasing that amplitude. So that's basically what delay is doing. Alright, and then the other thing to look at is we can modulate the amplitude with other modulators, as well as the rate. We could modulate the rate with, say, a second LFO if we wanted to, or not. Actually, we can't use an LFO to do that. So we could use an envelope. Alright, and we can do that, and then we can look at different types of waveforms here. We've got triangle wave. Actually, let me turn that off. These back to normal. Back, let me go to... Yeah, 1 second is fine. Slightly different from sine. Saw up. Saw down. Square high low, so it'll start high and then go low. In fact, to hear that a little better, let's bring the LFO amount down to 2 octaves. Square low high. So in this case it starts low and goes high. Random hold. So this is similar to the square, but it's randomized. And then random glide, that's similar to basically a sine or a triangle, but it's randomized as well. And then finally the user setting. This is sort of almost like a step sequencer, but in this case we can actually just define the values that we want here. Just randomize it. And then we can change our sync to, let's say, eighth notes. And that's the basic idea. We can straighten it like this, or and then you can use LFO to modulate any parameter that can be modulated. So let's say we had a filter set up on this guy, and let me clear the modulation of the pitch, and instead let's modulate the cutoff frequency with the LFO. You know, something like that. So that's really it. And if it was negative, then it would be starting from the cutoff and going down. So that's it for LFO, low frequency oscillators. I will see you in the next video.